confines with a monarch's voice cry havoc! And let slip the dogs of war. Brings to my city steps. You insult my queen. You threaten my people with slavery and death. Oh, I've chosen my words carefully, Persian. Perhaps you should have done the same.
This is blasphemy. This is madness.
Madness. This is Sparta!
They painted over ants.
Day is ending, birds are landing, back to the shelter long, each little nest they love. Night shades falling, lovebirds calling, what makes the world go round? Nothing but love.
Simpler times, Russ, simpler times.
You know, that does not look like Steve Martin.
It does too.
No, not really. I mean, that was My Blue Heaven was the Steve Martin movie, right?
Yeah. Welcome to the top song of 1927, reflecting our 127th episode. Russ, welcome to the Two Grumpy Bastards.
227th.
Welcome to the Two Grumpy Bastards podcast. Going strong in season 6. Actually, I do it by January now, but we would truly be in season 7 because we started the podcast in that summer of
I don't even remember when our first one was, to be honest. I thought it was like fall or December, but I
you know what? Yeah, no, I'm a little ahead of myself. No,
I could be wrong. It's all blended together.
I know. Who cares? It's like the streaming services. They call anything a season. We made 5 episodes. That's season 2. It's like, fuck you. Yeah, so that's we're in the year 1927, folks, and that's My Blue Heaven. I don't know if you knew there was a song that competed with My Blue Heaven. Let me run that out at you. I think you'll probably know this song a little bit better than that song. Let's see.
Okay, Derek, you ready?
Yeah, I was born ready, Nick. Let's go, man. Ready, Nick. Let's go.
Dirk Diggler demo.
Keep the vocals up.
You got the touch. Take 7.
It's pretty clear. That recording's pretty clear for 1927.
It is. Surprisingly clear.
You got the touch. You got the power. Yeah. After all is said and done, you never walk, you never run. You're a winner. You got to move, you know the streets. Break the rules, take the heat. You're nobody's fool.
And of course, you remember that song from 1927 by the great Dirk Diggler.
A quick side note, because this is a fun factoid I just learned yesterday. You know who was first offered the role of Dirk Diggler?
I do not.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, that would not have worked.
No, but it came up that he was offered that role first before Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg was perfect in that. Actually, that was a perfect role.
Plus, he had a naked Heather Graham laying on him a couple times.
Yeah, that woman has no problem going full body naked in movies. She got no problem with that. I don't either. I mean, because I like people to express their individuality and their artistic, tendency. Yeah, I'm all for that. Yes,
completely natural as herself.
Yes, I celebrate her artistic self. Is what I meant by that statement. So, I don't have a sneeze button. Sorry. Whew, ouch. Oh, I'm awake. Yeah, so that was obviously not a song of 1927, folks. That was from the movie Boogie Nights. I decided that's gonna be my Rickroll from now on, forever, with everybody.
Really?
You don't remember that several years ago where it was really popular to get like an email or you get something, check this out, this, and you press it and it took you to never gonna give you up, never gonna let
Yeah.
you down. Yeah, that's gonna be my Rickroll.
It's
I'm gonna have that.
with it being Dirk Diggler, it'd be a dick roll.
All right, let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about 1927. It's a little more interesting than I thought. We'll go first with, let's see. I can't see underneath
My
my.
grandfather was born that year.
Was he?
Yep.
We'll go with books, events, and then we'll end up with movies because I actually have a clip from the biggest movie to come out in 1927 for real. Don't worry, it's not. I'm not rickrolling you with some softcore porn or something like that. Um, there's a couple of books of note that I have definitely read. To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. I think I read everything of hers when I was in college, pursuing my English fancy. What's kind of cool here, Steppenwolf by Hermann Hesse, very, very well-known book, literature. Gandhi's autobiography came out in 1927. I didn't realize it was that early in the
Really? Because
20s.
I didn't think he did that much until after World War II.
Yeah, no, it's a Gandhian autobiography in 1927. Maybe he was just writing about his experiences up to a certain point. I've never read his autobiography. I watched the movie, of course. Ben King.
His movie was real big when I was in sixth. I think it was fifth or sixth grade.
Yeah, it was a great movie. It's a fantastic movie.
In Kingsley.
Yep. The two most popular authors that I see on, well, three, Virginia Woolf, and of course, Willa Cather was very popular during that period. Death Comes for the Archbishop. She wrote Pilgrim's Progress, which I read when I was a freshman in college. Um, Agatha Christie, her Hercule Poirot novels. There's a few on the list. Have you seen any of the movies with Kenneth Branagh where he plays like Death on the Nile?
No.
Yeah, they're great. They're wonderful.
Yeah.
If you like that sort of thing, it's definitely period stuff. You know, the mysteries and
I didn't remember. I didn't know Kenneth Braga played anything with Agatha Christie. I know there was
yeah,
some.
he's done like three of those books, the Hercule Poirot, as movies now. They're
But
good.
I know that there were older Agatha Christie movies. I want to say in like the 80s,
Mhm.
70s or 80s.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
I don't know his name, but I can see the actor who played Poirot.
Yeah, he directs it and stars in these. And it's if you check those movies out, they're chock full of A-list celebrities. People obviously like working with him and being part of that historical Agatha Christie. And those are really good. I mean, those mysteries, you know, the twists and turns, and you're not sure who's guilty, and they're fun.
Mhm.
They're really fun. She did a wonderful job. Her counterpart has four books on the top 20. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, his
Oh,
Sherlock Holmes. He has four in that year that he published that were all very, very popular. So it's kind of funny. That was the thing back then.
yeah.
Um, and I mean, shoot, that's continued to this very day. I mean, you could look at so many authors, you know, like the Harry Bosch series and the Michael Patterson series and all these other. It's still really popular. They're a little bit more gritty.
John Grisham. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
mean,
It
they're a
is
little bit
lawyers,
more.
but it's basically detective stuff.
I'm sure, you know, all inspired by that wave of detective and mystery. The one that I saw in here that I forgot came out in 19. Well, I never knew it came out in 1927. I thought it came out a little later. Was Hemingway's Men Without Women, his collection of short stories, which is his most famous one. He's got 14 stories in here. Like Hills Like White Elephants is one of his most famous
Mhm.
short stories. The Man's Man. So I thought that was kind of interesting. It was a good year for literature. Not a whole bunch of biographies by a bunch of you know, goddamn politicians who are worthless and shit like that. Um,
I did political donors buy 50,000 copies as a way of sliding the money.
right. I'm going to play you a short video of I would say this is one of the most influential movies ever made.
Mm.
And if you think about it, it probably influenced, I mean, not only did it go way beyond its years in technology, they invented technology and several of the camera techniques for this movie. I watched a documentary about this. Fascinating how they did it. Absolutely fascinating. I mean, they had literally invented stuff on the fly to make this movie, and it set the standard for science fiction movies forever. Um, way, 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 way ahead of its time. It's a silent movie, but it's worth the watch just if you're into film and into stuff like that. So let me share this clip with you after I can quit fucking talking now. Uh,
He's talking to cover. There we go.
I'm talking to cover my loser ability with video. I can't even hear that.
Brave New World. Brave New World is in Metropolis.
It's just astounding the practical effects and how they did this stuff for 1927.
That's Brave New World, isn't it?
No, this is Metropolis.
Metropolis, okay. Couldn't remember which one of the two it was.
I got to see this version of it. Anyway, yes, the biggest movie, world-shattering, earth-shaking movie that changed Hollywood and filmmaking forever. I won't get into all the little nitty-gritty, fascinating stuff about the one thing that was just fascinated me. There's a scene where there's all these workers outside the main building where the authoritarians live, and the lights are moving up and down, and there's all this stuff. What they did was they had glass, and they would individually paint each panel. There was probably 1,000 different ones, and so like the lights would be on in this story, and then the next panel they'd paint over that. The lights would be on this story, so they'd make those clear so the light could shine through, and then the next one, and they would film those in sequence. So it was basically stop action, but it was done so well that you didn't even know it. Pretty fascinating stuff. Okay, let's whip through. You have any comments on 1927?
No, I mean I couldn't remember if it, obviously I knew it was either Brave New World or Metropolis. I didn't remember which, but okay.
Yeah. The one big momentous film that did come out in 1927 as well was The Jazz Singer, which had a soundtrack.
And that was the first. It was called The Talkie, and
Right.
that's why one of the pieces of music I thought you were going to play was Tootsie Goodbye.
Right.
That was
I could have. Yeah, I thought about it.
That was the opening of that movie.
I thought about it. But I thought Metropolis was more up our you and I, the sci-fi nerds that we are.
And people thought that the talking movies were going to fail because, as they said, nobody wants to hear these people actually talk.
Right. Yeah, that's a swing and a miss.
Yep.
As Dave Niehaus, the God rest his soul, the old Mariners announcer, and a swing and a miss. Yep, that is definitely a swing and a miss. Oh shit, I accidentally shut the Mariners game off. They were ahead by 2 in the 9th inning. Okay. Let's see. Let's talk about a few world events. There was quite a few, but we're gonna keep this pithy. We're gonna actually make Willis time. I swear we're gonna do that this time. Okay. Let's see. The president was Calvin Coolidge, of course.
Silent Cal.
Huh?
Silent Cal.
Silent Cal. I didn't realize that his chief justice was William Howard Taft. Thought that was interesting.
But yeah, Taft was appointed. Might have been by Woodrow Wilson.
I think so. Now that I think back about it, but yeah, he obviously a former president as well. What the hell is going on? Oh,
I think the only former president that became Chief Justice of the Supreme Court as well.
I can't even think of another one that. Yeah. Let's see. The what the hell was I looking for here? 1927. Oh, I thought this was interesting, kind of just not for nothing. Mae West was arrested and sentenced to 10 days in prison for her comedy drama performance Sex because she was corrupting the morals of youth.
Yeah, that fast forward 40 years and that wouldn't even be an issue.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Now, I mean, like the trans people being naked on the street in their pride parades and shit, not going to jail for some reason. I don't know that's all about. Let's see, the Academy of Motion Pictures, the Academy Awards was founded in 1927. Used to be kind of cool when I was a kid. That was kind of like a don't miss event.
It was a big deal back, but then they also honored movies that people had seen.
Yeah, well, exactly. And the actors back then weren't all a bunch of woke pieces of shit either. John Wayne, and you got to see like all those, Gregory Peck, and I still remember Cary Grant getting his first and only Oscar, basically Lifetime Achievement Award, and that was kind of cool. I remember that. I remember that really well.
Yeah, but they also still had an air of mystery about them too, because they weren't plastered in front of your face every minute of the day.
Right. I mean, it was rare when paparazzi would capture a picture of them not on set.
And the studios kept quiet so much shit.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, they buried more conspiracies and bodies than the Clinton administration. Oops. I'm in trouble for saying that. I might have to.
Call
Um,
authority.
um, Probably I think one of the most memorable things that happened in 1927 was Charles Lindbergh making
Oh,
his,
maybe a trip across the Atlantic?
yeah, making his trip across the Atlantic. Pretty impressive. Not just pretty impressive, but incredibly ballsy. Have you ever seen the movie with Jimmy Stewart?
I don't know if that's the one I've seen the Charles Lindbergh movie, but I don't know if that was the one with
The
him.
one I've seen was Jimmy Stewart, and what was amazing about the Spirit of St. Louis is, he couldn't even look out the windshield. He had to hang his head out to see where he
God.
was because there was an extra gas tank on his lap.
Oh, I did not know that.
He needed that extra gas tank, so they mounted it like I don't know. I think they could have figured something out, but they mounted it basically so he couldn't see out the front of the airplane, so he could only see to the left.
That'd be really cold.
Be really cold, and it would be. I couldn't do it because my neck doesn't move very well because of my injuries. So I'd be like, I'm fucked. I would have Amelia Earharted, I think. Um, oh, that's mean. I shouldn't have said that. God rest her soul.
Japanese
Um,
shut her down.
uh, let's see what else we got here, real quick. Um, I did go through here. I talked about the jazz singer opening up. This is also the year that the Black Sox or the Chicago Nine were accused of cheating in baseball, and all, including Shoeless Joe Jackson, were banned for life from the game
That was
of
in
baseball.
27? I thought it was 1919.
I have it right
I could be
here.
wrong. Like I said, I could be
God,
wrong.
that sounds better. I see it right here. Maybe they're talking about something, some fallout from it or something. It's pretty, yeah, it's right there. Anyway, I think you're right now that you say that. That didn't sound right when I read it. Um, and let's see, Holland Tunnel opened up in New York. That was a big deal, and they haven't changed it in 100 years.
Nice.
uh, and let's see, the uh, Rodgers and Hammerstein's musical play, or Kern and Hammerstein's, yeah, that was his partner before Rodgers, opened up Showboat. I just thought I'd tell you that because I know you're into musical theater.
I am.
You are. All right. That'll do it for the year 1927. Let me, this will be the last video I show, but I figured we were going to talk about this anyway. So I want to show you, I'm going to call this video and perhaps future videos if I remember to do it. I always come up with catchy titles and I never remember to say anything about it. But we're going to call this Flex of the Week, Russ.
Okay.
This is going to be called Flex of the Week. Here we go. Joe Putin shaking hands with Trump in Anchorage, Alaska. Biggest flex I've seen in a very long time.
I have not seen that.
Look at Putin's reaction.
You don't have that.
What's that?
He's like, we don't have that.
Yeah, so for those of you that aren't going to watch the video on YouTube, that was when Trump was walking with Putin to do the meeting. He had a B-2 with F-22 escorts, four of them, two on each side, fly over the head of Putin and him on their way into the building on the red
Look,
carpet.
one thing you got to give Trump credit for, he does not apologize for American power. Unlike previous presidents, he does not pretend like we are on equal footing.
Can you imagine that? I mean, what big of a flex was that? Yeah.
The last flex that even comes close was Reagan running down the steps in Reykjavik in like 5-degree weather, and he's wearing not wearing an overcoat to go shake hands with Gorbachev from above him.
Yep. Was that the one where he walked out of? Because he did walk out of one meeting with Gorbachev, and I can't remember if that was it or not.
Yeah, I don't remember. I have to research
I know
it.
he did that as a flex too.
Yeah,
He literally got up and walked out of the meeting and got on Air Force One and went home.
left. Yeah.
Kind of, it's kind of cool. So yeah, I figured we kind of start the conversation because it's very topical. It just happened today, where historical meeting between our president, our dear leader, as we're going to call him now, according to people on Facebook.
Yeah.
No, the duly elected.
Our master is this is one thing. somebody said, hey, your master has got this, and I responded to him, Dobby has no master.
Your master. You mean the democratically elected president of the United States who won both the popular vote and the electoral college by a landslide, by the way? Oh, you mean that guy?
And then recaptured the House and the Senate.
Yo, you mean that guy? You know, as I'm starting to say to a lot of people, oh, those pesky Republicans, how dare they run around and try to fix stuff? How dare they? How dare you try to fix things that as children have broken? How dare you?
Yeah, there was I don't know if you saw on my page, there's an article in the New York Times, Ross Douthat and some schmuck that wrote a book talking about how they need to to save democracy, we need to get rid of the Senate, add DC and Puerto Rico as states, and pack the Supreme Court. And I keep telling my liberal friends, y'all don't understand what that means. That would mean war. We're not talking rhetorical. We're talking no shit, brutally violent, destruction we haven't seen since 1865, real war.
Absolutely, and that's go ahead.
Yeah, the only thing that kept us from that between 2021 and 2023 were Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema.
Yeah, yeah, and that sounds like a good plan because they're bitching about democracy, yet they're going to control alt delete the Constitution because you'd have to do that. You'd have to do that to do any of those things. So
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious where they're getting that hypocritical stance about unconstitutional. I love that. I saw a video earlier when I was doom scrolling, but taking a break for about 10 minutes, and some woman like trying to get in the way of ICE and FBI agents. You're illegal. What you're doing is illegal. It's amazing how much the definition of things like fascist,
Yeah.
um, Nazi, illegal actions, unconstitutional have changed in the last year
Yeah.
because they
No,
meant
absolutely.
exactly the opposite to this crowd a year ago.
Yeah, well, because the law means nothing. Their feelings are the law.
Um, God, I can't remember her name off the top of my head. She's an attractive she's a Jew, and she's on Fox News a lot, but she goes on CNN a lot too. I cannot remember her name off the top of my head. Very bright, and she just tore into one of the CNN. Um,
Oh,
you know who I'm talking about?
I do. Sargon.
Yes.
I can't remember her full name, but yeah.
But she's very bright, um,
Okay.
very articulate, and she's very pro-Israel.
Former
And
lefty too.
yeah, former lefty, and I love how she tore into her, basically saying, you know, you guys, she kind of put down Donald Trump's accomplishments, and you call him a fascist, and you call him a dictator, and you compare him to Hitler, you call him Hitler. Well, do you realize that makes 80 million hardworking people who make less than $100,000 a year Nazis? Is that what you're calling these people? I'm just curious. And she's just like, do you know how offensive it is for somebody whose family died in concentration camps 2 generations ago? Half my family was wiped off the face of the earth, and you call him Hitler and you call these people Nazis, you know? And she just tore her a new one. I was like,
Good.
good. I mean, and we're winning the fight.
Did you see what Scott Jennings did to Bakari Sellers?
I did, man. That was kind of uncharacteristic of Scott Jennings. He just kind of had enough. He
Yeah,
was
when
like,
Bakari was like, "What peace deals has Trump made?" And he's like, are you serious? Are you like completely ignorant? He starts listing off, Rwanda, Cambodia, what was the one? Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan, right, right.
Yeah, there's like 6 peace deals that have happened in the last 4 months.
Azerbaijan is a big one too. People should dig into that a little bit and see how long there's been a conflict.
Yeah.
There's been tens of thousands of people dead through that conflict. It's been going on for, I believe, 40 years.
I don't remember how long, but probably.
Yeah, about 40 years. And he brokered that peace in like an hour. And guess what? Nobody's dying in that. I mean, I love what he said too when he was briefing, or the press was asking questions before he went to Alaska. And how do you know? How do you know you're going to be able to do this? He goes, "It's a deal. It's what I do." You know,
Well, I know she was probably being sardonic, but did you hear what Hillary said about the meeting?
I missed it. I was listening in the background to Fox News when I was
Said that
busy.
if Trump brokers peace in Ukraine, she will nominate him for the Nobel Prize.
I didn't. Oh, really? Because I didn't hear it. I heard his response to a reporter's question where he goes, "Yeah, it's very nice of her to say. Very nice of her." Oh no, he was talking to Sean Hannity after the
Okay.
Sean Hannity had an exclusive interview with him right after,
Hmm.
the summit, and he said something about, oh, that's very nice if she said that. And Sean's like, you're a lot more forgiving than I am, Mr. President.
Yeah.
She destroyed your life for 3 years, and he's like, your mud monster, the Ben Shapiro mud monster
Yep.
thing. He basically said the same thing in his own words. He goes, well, she made me stronger. I came out of it a lot stronger, a lot
Yeah.
smarter. And I was like, that's perspective, I guess. I'd have been like, that C word, that B word can eat my D.
Yeah.
Tastes a lot better than Bill's, I'll tell you that.
Well,
But
Bill's been used by more people than Hillary.
yeah, no kidding. I think Bill probably, yeah, never mind. I'll just leave that one alone. I'll try
Anyway,
to
we're
keep
talking about Putin and Alaska.
talking about Putin in Alaska. So it looks like nothing. Of course, there's not a ceasefire. There's not a treaty signed. Basically, Trump said it's up to Zelensky to accept. There was not a deal, but there was a proposal. I was talking to somebody today who wasn't familiar with what's going on, and it's like, why? I don't. That doesn't follow politics. Just not really. Very bright person, but just not into politics. Gets kind of sickened by the whole thing, which I can understand that to a certain extent.
I appreciate
And
it.
I explained how Crimea and that entire area, 9 out of 10 people there are actually Russian. They speak Russian. They're not. I said Croatian for some reason today earlier, and I'm like, okay, they're not Ukrainian people, and it traditionally was, hundreds of years ago, it was Russian territory and all that. So that I'm not defending what happened. I'm just saying that was part of the impetus. I think there's like a deep thing, like when Hitler basically said all his territory used to belong to the Teutonic people, and we're going to take it back, France and Saxony and all that
Mhm.
stuff back then, which is kind of ridiculous because you go back in history just before that. You can make a case that the Vikings should own England because they basically owned almost the entire island in the fourth and
You
fifth
could make a
century.
case that the Italians should own France and part of Germany.
Absolutely.
Roman Empire.
Oh, even as far as Persia, right?
Yep.
I mean, the Romans had all of the Middle East, Persia,
Mediterranean. Yeah.
Mediterranean, where modern day Syria, Israel, Pakistan, even into Pakistan, all of that area
Mhm.
was Roman territory. I mean, all you have to do is read the New Testament, and you go, oh, okay, Romans. You know,
Yep.
um, so you can make. I mean, they conquered. Who owned it before that? I mean, nomadic tribes. The Philistines and whatever. I mean, it's a ridiculous. It's a specious argument. It just doesn't have any basis in anything. And we like, oh, you stole the land. You white Americans stole the. No, we conquered it, bought it, and settled it.
Well, I
One of
started
those
asking people
three.
when they're like, you white people. I'm like, let's see, which kind of white people you mean? German, Irish, English, Swedish, or Greek?
Yeah. Well, and even Eastern European are white people. You know,
Yeah.
you could everything basically not in the Mediterranean South and not in Africa and that whole yeah is white people. And it's I always laugh at that too. It's like so me, I'm German, Viking, Russian, Ukrainian, and Scottish. I'm like a golden corral of white.
I was gonna say a golden mutt, but yeah,
I'm an all you
you're
can
you're
eat
basically
buffet.
basically you're basically Lucy.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yes, I'm white, 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 but just I have a lot of different flavors of vanilla in there, baby. And they all want to kill each other. That's kind of the fucked up thing right there. It's
Like,
all
the reason they're all in there is because your ancestors raped their way down the coasts.
well, yeah,
I
it happened. Do you want to hold me? Should I give reparations to modern rape victims because of that? I don't know.
think you
That's
should
the
give them to yourself. I
that's
think
the
parts of you should apologize to other parts of you.
yeah, that's why I've been in therapy for like 10 years, bro, trying to get
Trying to get those parts to get along.
if I ever had a therapist who tried to get me to talk to myself like that, I would have walked out of the room.
That would have been funny.
Would have been funny. I did have one that had like a sandbox and a bunch of GI Joes and stuff, and wanted to role play like me talking to people in my life through the action figures.
Really.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
yeah,
More
different
reasons
stroke.
why I don't go to therapy.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of reasons I don't anymore, but I got dogs, and I've got my scripture. That's my therapy.
I
So
think I think any therapist I saw would walk out of that room wide-eyed and shaking, going, "Fuck."
I've had some really good ones. A lot of the VA, yeah, very quality people work in the VA mental health system. I will say that. Only had one bad one, and I got that person booted from a group, from being a
Nice.
group leader. Yeah. So, um, yeah, that was pretty bad. And had one when I was in a program at American Lake who all the counselors were female, like in the VIP Veterans Intensive program. They were all female, but that one year I went there, there was one dude, and we were talking, and all of a sudden he goes, "Oh fuck Trump," like that. You just said that in front of most of the guys in there were gunfighters too. You just said
Yeah.
that in a group of hardcore military gunfighters.
Hey,
Yeah,
read the room, dude.
yeah. So I went to the head and I told her what had happened, and I said, I'm not asking for any. I just thought you might want to know. He really pissed off. Talk about triggering some dudes in there,
Yeah.
pissing off some bad hombres. Anyway, I don't know how we got on that topic, but yes. So it sounds like there was some very important first steps made. Sounds like it's kind of funny how he talks, and I know the left jumps all over him, but if Biden wouldn't have been able to say this, but if a Democratic president had said something like, "Oh, it was a really good meeting. He's a very bright guy. He's a tough guy," and actually the meeting, it went well. It was warm. There was no adversarial conversation. It went well. And of course, they're going to say, "See, Russian collusion."
Fuck, Hillary said the same damn thing.
Of course she did. Of course she did. I just watched a video of President Obama talking about how important tariffs are.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
did. He's a big tariff guy. Well, guys, I think tariffs are great. And
Well, look, I think you know that I'm not a big fan of the tariffs. However, to my friends on the left, they're always talking about wanting to tax corporations. That's what this is. They're like, but the tariffs are passing prices on to the consumer. What the fuck do you think corporate taxes do? They don't eat
right,
them.
right.
You're a big fan of taxes. Why aren't you a big fan of this? Barack Obama loved them.
Oh, he loved them. And that's the thing whenever I see any leftist propaganda and stuff, and like, people I know, people I thought that were fairly intelligent. It's like, okay, logical progression. Why don't you get this? You raise corporate taxes, then everything goes up unless people get hired. Period. Period.
And the
They'll
prices
find
go up.
they'll
Yeah.
find they'll find ways to automate. They'll find ways to cut back on hiring people. Prices on everything goes up. I don't care if you're what industry you're in. You could be in the service industry or you can be in the manufacturing industry, but if corporate taxes go up, everything goes up, folks.
Yep.
And the working class gets kicked in the nuts through that. You know what it's like the reverse of supply side economics. You
Yeah,
know,
well, like I said, businesses don't eat this stuff because they're altruistic and want to be good. You can chide them about their greed, but they're going to recover their costs. That's
of
going to
course
happen.
they're somehow because they're businesses and these are smart people who know how to
Well, that's
do these
human
sorts of.
nature. I mean, for everybody screaming for these folks to be altruistic, tell you what, you go out and build a car and you can give it away.
And if you want to tax the billionaires and the upper millionaires a lot more, they'll just find more creative ways to hide their money. So that money
Or they'll
doesn't,
leave.
yeah, or
You're
they'll
going to see
leave.
what's
And
going to you're going to see what's going to happen in New York.
that money doesn't go back into the economy, by the way, folks. It doesn't get invested in anything like workers and people and resources and technology. It sits somewhere in an account in the Caymans or some shit.
Yeah,
Oh,
70% tax on zero is zero.
right, right. I just don't get it. And Reagan proved to the world, to the United States of America. It took a few years because we were in such a pit of hell. The recession happened and early in his
That was
uh,
that one had to happen. You had to raise the interest rates
you had to.
in order to get inflation under control. Then you could start bringing them down, and
Right.
you could start infusing money into the economy through the private sector. And you had to get the tax rate, the tax code simplified.
Yep.
And yeah, that's going to have some short-term deleterious effects.
Right.
And then you prime the engine, and it takes off.
You lower taxes across the board, which means people spend more of their money, which is an investment. Now more people spend more of their money. Guess what happened, folks, when Reagan lowered taxes a few years into his Reaganomics? Guess what happened? More
Rev-
taxes than in history got collected.
Revenue doubled to the federal government. Everybody wants to say that, well, that was when the deficit started to go up. The problem with what happened was revenue doubled to the federal government, but Congress, because remember, Congress controls the spending, Congress tripled the spending.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's it. I mean, hey, we got to live within our means, but the government does not. That's what just gets me too about people being all over this Doge thing and downsizing government, which is what a fascist dictator would do, by the way. A fascist
Yeah.
dictator would dig in and try to downsize government and lower
All,
taxes.
all the authoritarians are known for reducing the size of government.
Oh yeah, they're for that and for making the people's lives easier by not confiscating more of their money. That's what every dictator on planet Earth has ever done.
Yep.
I'm serious. I mean, wow, uh fucking stupid. Stupid donkey. So okay, I wanted to talk about that. Anything else on the Great Summit?
No, I'm still waiting. I still have to go read up some more on it because I've been occupied a good
Sure.
part of the day. Um, and I just need to figure out more on it. I did not know about the B-2 and the fighter escort flying overhead. That's funny.
That's
That was done to get because it's another flex. You remember? Do you remember what Trump did a couple of weeks ago when Medvedev spouted off? All right, so
remind
the
me.
Russians have this. The Russians want everybody to think that they're on equal terms with us. They are not.
Not even
And
close.
the and Medvedev, when Trump started his rhetoric started going up, Medvedev was like, US needs to be careful. You're risking nuclear war with Russia. And so Trump just quietly went out and repositioned some nuclear subs right next to Russia and was like, okay,
Yes.
if you
Yes, I
want to
did know
do
about that.
this,
I did know
notice
about
how
that.
Medvedev hasn't spoken up since.
Yeah, it's you don't fuck with Trump. You just don't fuck with him. For better or for worse, that can get you in hot water too. But the scorecard right now is like I really will sit down one day, probably I'm starting to catch up on my little chores and stuff. Although I'm locked out of the VA now, by the way, because I changed my phone number. Can't get into my VA stuff. Um,
Jeez.
yeah, it's awful. I'm still working on that, but I'm gonna write down a big scorecard and share it with everybody on our Two Grumpy Bastards Facebook page. Because I don't even know how many wins now that we've got. I was kind of keeping track, but I've lost track. I've lost
This is
track.
more stuff than I mean, honestly, I'm having trouble catching my breath. This is more stuff than I have seen a president do in my lifetime.
Oh,
La
and
the
yeah,
only president that comes close is a guy I don't like, but is FDR.
right. It's funny because I've been seeing on some talk shows that even a lot of Democrats are comparing him to FDR, not personality wise, but as far as the number of things he's been doing,
Yeah.
taking direct action. And I mean, FDR involved himself in absolutely everything, for better or for worse. There were some things about FDR, obviously, that were good, but the Great Society. That's why we are where we are now, in my opinion. It's the fallout from the Great Society.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing with FDR, even though most folks agree that he extended the Depression by several years,
Yeah,
he was dealing with the Great Depression.
he was.
So
He was.
you kind of get um, one of the things that kind of gave him even more power was not only did he win in a landslide in 32, but Republicans continued to get repudiated in 34 in the midterms, and that carried through to 36. It wasn't until 38 that Republicans came back and won a lot of the midterm elections. I mean, if I remember right, Roosevelt had 77 or 78 Democrat senators.
It
Um,
was it was a super majority. I do know that for
yeah, it's the
sure.
last time we've had that large majority
Right, right,
for either party, I believe. It was
right,
just insane.
right. Yeah, and of course those were the days. I mean, you can argue, you can nuance and all that. Democrats back then were not the Democrats of today.
Oh no, no, they wouldn't be recognized.
No, could you imagine? Um, uh, um, Adam Carolla used to do this thing on his radio show called what was it, like 1850s man or something like that, where
Yeah,
like
something like that.
yeah, where this guy from like the 1850s ended up today, and Corolla would try to explain to him things that were going on, just in
Hmm.
his terms. Um, I love that. Could you imagine like FDR being alive and seeing what the Democratic Party is now, or
Uh,
somebody I admire, Harry Truman. You know,
Harry Truman is an even better example because FDR had a lot of socialist tendencies.
he did.
Truman Truman was a lot like Trump in terms of being no nonsense. I mean, obviously different platforms, that kind of stuff, but and Truman, in fairness, had a little bit more restraint's not the right word, class of the day. But you got to remember also, Truman wrote a newspaper editor that besmirched his daughter and told him
Right,
that he was going to punch him in the eye.
right,
I mean, he did. And when Oppenheimer said that he feared he had blood on his hands from the atom bomb, Truman handed him a Kleenex and told him to wipe it off.
Truman was a badass. I read the biography years and years ago when it came out. Was it McCullough that wrote that, or was it
Yeah, I think it was McCullough.
McCullough? Yeah, I've read everything that McCullough's ever put out. I read Adams before the miniseries came out, and it was the miniseries does such a. Did you ever watch that series with?
Oh yes, oh yes.
Oh my God, isn't it fantastic?
Yeah,
So it's some. I think it's one. I think it might be up there with two or three of the best portrayals of our country's founding and history on film ever made.
why can I not remember the actor's name? But I've seen him in a bunch of stuff. Guy who played Adams.
Paul Giamatti.
That's it. It was a complete departure from everything I'd ever seen him in prior to that.
Right. Oh, he was brilliant. And then
Yeah.
Laura Linney is Abigail Adams. She's always great. I can't remember the actor's name. He's ubiquitous. He's been in a million things. Who played Benjamin Franklin? And I can't
Tom
remember.
Sizemore.
Yeah. Or what? No, not Tom
No, not
Sizemore.
Tom Sizemore.
You're close though.
I know
Tom
who you're talking about.
Tom Sizemore.
Wait,
I think he just died, didn't he, of like being drunk or something? Tom Sizemore.
maybe, but I don't know. But it's the guy that played Lord Cornwallis in.
Yes. Yeah. He's been in literally a million things.
He's a character actor. He's a great
character
character
actor.
actor. One of the best.
Yeah,
there ever was.
fantastic. Yeah,
He
he
played
was.
Falcone in Batman Begins.
Yep. He's fantastic as Benjamin Franklin. I mean, I read a biography of Benjamin Franklin too, and I'm like, I think he nailed it. People don't realize that Ben Franklin not only was a genius and inventor and liaison with the French, he was a pimp motherfucker. That guy was a pussy destroying machine even in his 90s.
Yeah.
Even in his 90s, I mean, he had like 20-year-olds, and I mean, it was like Roman bath kind of situation with him. He was the dude, man, and he of course had a 60-year marriage or whatever, and all of that. But yeah, he was a scoundrel. He was brilliant, and he was a whore. He was a man whore, big time. Up until like his late 80s, early 90s, the guy lived forever too.
Yeah, well, especially for back then. I mean, back then half the human race didn't make it past the age of 35.
Yeah, yeah. I think I actually looked it up one time because I was curious when I was reading that biography, and I think the life expectancy was like 41, 42 for a man back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy,
I
right?
remember I'm not necessarily a big Neil deGrasse Tyson fan,
I
but
hate Neil deGrasse Tyson. Can't stand him.
when he actually sticks to facts, he's fine. And he was talking about, the various times at which, where the human race was in terms of its life expectancy. It's like, in the 1700s, the 1800s, all the way up to like 1880, half of the human race died before they were 35.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. So, yeah.
I was thinking about that when I did the 1927 stuff too, because I know I love that music. I'm kind of into all that, but I thought it would have been a really shitty time to be alive. I mean, if you got like a infected tooth, you probably were going to die of septicemia.
Well, yeah, you know how Jack Daniels died?
I don't.
Jack Daniels died because he got pissed in his office at something. I think he got pissed because his safe wouldn't open, and he kicked the safe really hard, and he broke his foot, and it got infected, and it killed him.
Yeah, I got gangrenous and it killed him, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could die. I mean, George. Look how George Washington died.
Well, Winfield Scott knows. I'm sorry, Zach Taylor, the president, the guy who led Mexico and was president in 1848, died because he ate Cherry's Jubilee, which is basically cherries in iced milk, and it probably had some kind of listeria or something, and it killed him.
You know what happened a lot back in those days, based on my kind of educational background, we studied this a lot, was incidental lead poisoning.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things were made with lead and people would slowly James Otis, who nobody knows. Everybody out there needs to read Patriots, the Men Who Started the Revolution by A.G. Langguth, who was a professor of American history at USC. It's the greatest book ever written about the revolution. It goes way back before where the original thoughts of all this. This guy named James Otis was actually probably deserves to be one of the founding fathers more than most, but he went senile in his last few years, so he was kind of like, back then it's like, oh, so his name was kind of buried in history, but he was a fascinating guy. He was a badass. I mean, he was a door kicking badass way before there was something like that, and fearless, absolutely fearless. And he died, and it was probably because of lead utensils, using lead lined, to ferment beer and shit like that.
Yeah.
They used to do that back in the day. What's funny is in Roman times, they did a lot of that. There's a lot of people died, but the Romans knew that lead was poisonous because the Romans were, a century or a millennia ahead of anybody else in the world as far as their engineering and their medical knowledge. But they only thought as if you ingested it. But lead lined shit was fine. Lead lined pots and vases and stuff like that to ferment stuff in was fine. So that's why a lot of them died of lead poisoning.
Oh, gee. Well,
Interesting.
you remember, what was the if you're fancy dressed back then, you're fancy dressed, especially like in the late 1700s, early through the mid 1800s.
Right.
What kind of hat did you wear?
Oh shit, my door's open. I heard something running up my stairs. I was gonna freak out. That's just Lucy. A kind of hat back in there.
Yeah, you wore a top hat, right? With
Uh,
the you wore a top hat with a stiff brim.
right. Like, and it was usually made out of beaver fur or something like
Yeah,
that.
but do you know how they got the brim stiff?
Uh-uh.
They use mercury.
Yeah.
And so if you get mercury poisoning, you go insane.
Right.
That's where the term "mad as a hatter" comes from. Is from
Oh,
the
okay. Interesting. I did
so
not know that.
the mercury, they didn't know it at the time. The mercury would leach into their blood.
You know, everybody out there that listens to the podcast, you need to reach out to your relatives, all your friends, because you will get an education listening to this podcast.
Absolutely.
You'll
We go all over the place, don't we?
That was a lot of facts, like in the last 5 minutes there. A lot of historical
Of which
facts.
almost nobody cares about.
Yeah, no, it's cool shit though, man. It's perspective. Um, yeah, that's the part where I get like kind of hopeful for the human race, the fact that we've fought our way out of these mires. But I think we've gone too far for our savannah brains with all this social media. We've talked about it a million times and
Oh yeah. Well,
technology. I was explaining quantum computing to somebody the other day about how that works and how that will work, and they figured they'll have a relevant quantum computer that's fully functional by 2029
geez.
is the projected. They got several that they're working on: Stanford, Columbia, that Chicago. There's a bunch of them, all MIT, and they're all kind of racing to see who's going to get the quantum computer first. That will end society as we know it, because there's nothing that can withstand the computing power of a quantum computer. No encryption could withstand it. Um,
Yeah.
so it's going to be interesting how we've evolved a little too fast, I think. And you know why? I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens.
Well, I mean, the Savannah brain thing you bring up is why we're so fat nowadays. Because we didn't used to have this kind of access to food like this.
Mm-mm.
So, sugars, since you didn't get sugars very much, when you rarely got them, your body was primed, grab as much as you can because you don't know when you're going to get it again. Well, now we've got it readily available, but that's only been within the last 50 to 100 years. Our brains and bodies have not evolved, have not adapted to that yet, and they won't for tens of thousands of years. So, it's like, hey, I still want all that fatty, sugary stuff that keeps me, gives me lots of calories to sustain me when I can't kill a wildebeest.
It's we were a species of gorge, binge, and starve. Gorge,
Yep.
binge, and starve. And most of that gorging and binging was like meat, proteins, and whatever fruit or vegetables you
Fruit,
could
yeah.
find. Forage, nuts, seeds, berries, that kind of thing if they were in season. Yeah, so it was gorge and starve, and so that's our bodies are set up. So when you gorge, store it, store it, store it, store it, because we may not eat for another 5, 6 days.
Yep.
Um, yeah, except for the maggots that we find in anthills and shit like that. Yeah, I'm
That's
glad I didn't live. Well, I probably did live a life back then. That probably explains a lot. But anyway, it's kind of funny you say that too, because I just read a book, and I know it's not a new concept. A lot of the kind of funny to circle back. A lot of these ancient alien people
mhm.
talk about the fact that human beings don't belong on this planet for a lot of reasons. Like we're the only creature that gets sunburnt. Every other creature on planet Earth has some type of natural
Oil or something.
sunblock and oil or whatever or pigment. Um, we're not meant to stand upright. That's why our knees, our hips, and our back go, because there's so much compression, and it really doesn't work very well on all fours. Is so much better because your back is evenly distributed. I mean, I could go on and on and on about it, but we obviously were bred by aliens in some other deal and then implanted here on planet Earth by the aliens.
Ah,
So we were,
okay.
panspermia. That's what really happened.
We were blasted off from Mars.
Yeah, well, yeah, they say Mars used to have oceans, used to be habitable. So no,
Canali.
it's kind of. I read a book about that where the guy was just presenting it, not like, oh, this is what the truth is, but there's thought out there that humans just don't belong. I mean, we're a species that does not belong on this planet, and it's kind of funny.
Oh,
All the different
I've
reasons.
often been told I don't belong on this planet, but
Yeah, I was told I was an alien once by a girl I dated. She thought I was seriously an alien because I was so different and everything. I'm like, yeah, could be. At least I'm not an illegal alien. Hello, boom, roasted. Okay, what else you want to talk about? We're so far off topic.
oh, we've gone off the rails here. Let's see what else is going on in the world
Oh,
in the last
nothing. Oh,
few days. I
nothing.
mean, the gerrymandering thing is still happening, but Texas Democrats are starting to go back.
Yeah. Hey, real quick on that, what'd you think of? Remember Gavin Newsom's warning that he's going to rain hell on President Trump, and wait till this comes up, his big speech, and his big speech was wah wah wah.
What was even funnier was that ICE was waiting right outside of the rally to arrest illegal immigrants. That was an enormous troll.
That was a flex from fucking Flextown, baby. That was I don't know. Look, I see videos when I'm scrolling through Instagram or whatever I see, and I don't know if they're even real. I don't know if this kid is crying because daddy's getting deported or this kid is just crying because daddy's getting arrested for beating his mom. I don't know. You
Yeah.
can never know. There's so much fake shit out there.
Oh yeah,
But
big time.
does it make me feel bad if that's true about this little boy and he's screaming because daddy's getting put in the ice van? And I didn't even see that part of the video, so that's why I'm kind of doubting the veracity of it. But does that make me feel good? No, but you know who I fucking blame it on? That
Parent, the
fucking
guy who,
parent.
yep,
That fucking parent who apparently didn't care about their kids enough and was just using that kid as an anchor baby to stay in this country illegally. If you
yep.
had a kid and he's 5 years old and he's crying, how much fucking time did you have to apply for citizenship and go through the process? If you loved your kids, you would have done it. That's where
Yep.
I'm from on that. Russ, you do anything. You would throw yourself in front of a moving bus for your daughters. Obviously, you do
Yeah.
anything for your family. Would you?
That's the
I mean,
thing.
I think you probably would have said, "I want to stay here, so I'm going to go apply for my citizenship."
I'm gonna go figure out how to do it. It is just like just like the civilian casualties in Gaza are not on Israel, they're on Hamas.
Right.
The folks who are, taking it in the shorts on some of this stuff, it's on the folks who broke the law to come in and stay here without trying to figure it out. Um, Joe Rogan, I don't know if you heard. First of all, people need to remember, yes, Joe Rogan voted for Trump this last time, but Joe Rogan's not a conservative. Joe Rogan was a lefty who supported Bernie Sanders.
Right.
And
Right.
he's saying, well, they're it's all wrong that we're going after, the illegal immigrants who were just in the fields and stuff. He was going back to the old Democrat plantation of,
Hmm.
we're not gonna have anybody to pick the lettuce. I'm like, Joe, but you're making an argument in favor of labor exploitation for below minimum wage. That's what are you smelling? Is that
I
water
think it's my.
or
I haven't washed this water bottle out in about a week,
you're
so
like swigging vinegar or
feel
something?
like my spit and stuff is probably fermenting.
Okay. So, but I mean, folks that are talking about that kind of stuff, again, it's a very elitist point of view. Oh,
Absolutely.
one of the things that has happened, and I wanted to bring up because I got into an argument with a lawyer, no less, on this, um, is we kind of skipped over Trump deploying the National Guard to Washington, D.C. for
I,
crime.
I would have hit that if you didn't. So go ahead.
One of the things, first of all, people are like he's occupying American cities, and all right, you miss a few points. First of all, D.C. is not its own independent fiefdom. It is a federal district. It's not Baltimore. It's not Atlanta. It's not Philadelphia. It's not part of a state. It's a federal district. So the D.C. Council can bitch and moan all at once, but it belongs to the federal government. It's not itself. And then under Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act, the president can use military force, can deploy the National Guard within the city for up to 30 days. And he can deploy it longer if Congress assents. This idiot lawyer I was arguing with on Facebook was like, but the president can't deploy the National. I was like, he's like, the president can't deploy the National Guard. I was like, well, what about the Home Rule Act? Well, that says he can only deploy them for 30 days. I'm like, dude, it's day 2, okay? He's like, well, I'm a lawyer. I'm like, well, then you're obviously not a very good one. Folks they don't understand the murder rate in DC right now is 27.3 per 100,000. Yes, that's down from 41 per 100,000, but 27.3 per 100,000 is literally 5 times greater than the murder rate of New York. It is higher than the murder rate, believe it or not, of Fallujah, Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it's being done by teenagers. Why do you think there's a citywide curfew for people under the age of 17? That's done specifically for that. They they altered the crime statistics to make things look like they were going down even further. And was some crime coming down? Yes, but only when you compare it to the summer of love of 2020 when crime spiked due to the riots. That's like saying, that's like you gaining 50 pounds and you've lost 10. Well, you're still up 40 pounds, okay? Violent crime is still up higher than it was pre-2020.
Hmm.
It's just, it's down from 2020. Well, yip, okay? It is a violent place. A lot of these very affluent liberals that live there that say that they're not afraid of the crime are the ones living in the gated communities. They're the lawyers, they're the real estate agents, they're the marketing advisors, they're the financiers. They're not the ones that are actually having to go through this stuff. Like, tell you what, go walk 5 blocks in downtown DC and let me know how safe you feel. They had
Hmm.
a protest, put this in perspective, they had a protest on DuPont Circle 2 days ago about I think it was 2 days ago, it might have been three, about Trump deploying the Guard to D.C. It's only 800, we're only talking 800 members of the National Guard. They had a protest on DuPont Circle. 2 blocks away, somebody got shot and killed during the
Right,
protest.
right, right.
Uh, he's a big part of deploying the National Guard. They're not necessarily going to be going out and arresting people. Presence is deterrence. It's one of the reasons why, and a lot of these blue state mayors don't understand this. If you want to get crime under control, yeah, there's a lot of cultural things that you have to do along the way. The first thing you have to do is you got to flood the area with cops. I'm sorry, you just have to. And they have to be visible cops because visibility is deterrence. It will it stop everything? No, but it'll stop a lot of things. I had another guy I was arguing with about the DC thing, like, well, most murders are personal, like domestic violence. I'm like, are you really arguing that 27.3 per 100,000 murder rate is because of a lot of domestic violence? Are you really that fucking stupid?
Apparently,
Um,
apparently, the answer is
and
yes.
then, of course, what does everybody bring up as the day they were really afraid? January 6th.
Oh yeah, that was terrible.
I'm like, dude, it's 4 years ago, 1,000 people who rioted, almost all of whom went to jail, okay?
Right, right.
Um, and then there's like, well, this is unprecedented. Well, let's see. So, Kathy Hochul deploying National Guard to the subways of New York was what, performance art? I remember they used the National Guard in Martha's Vineyard to move out the immigrants that Ron DeSantis flew up there.
Right, right.
They've
Uh,
used they've used the National Guard before. Okay, they just don't like it when somebody else uses the National Guard. But I mean, fuck, they locked DC down for 2 months after January 6th. I mean, they had armed soldiers standing outside of the monuments. All right, so don't give me this crap about it's some kind of, fascist takeover. It's not. The president is gonna get the crime under control. And the funniest part is, I I don't know if he's doing this intentionally. I don't know if it's just some kind of, happenstance and circumstance. But Trump has basically gotten Democrats to come out in favor of crime. I
mhm.
mean, he is somehow putting them on the wrong side
Yes, yes.
of every 80-20 issue in the country. From crime to transgenderism to gas prices. I don't know why this reflexive opposition. You'd think that, I mean, what I saw on TV was Chris Matthews, Mika Brzezinski, and Joe Scarborough. They had a revelation on TV of, hey guys, he's getting us to defend crime-ridden neighborhoods. Stop, this is a trap. They got it, but a lot of people on that side, they're so reflexively anti-Trump that they're going to even come out basically in favor of let's let the crime rate continue.
It's you're 100% right, and that's the one thing that I have just I don't know why nobody from the left can see this. I just saw Chuck Schumer in that interview where he was condemning the militarization of DC and the federal takeover of law enforcement. And I'm sitting there going, okay, Chuck Schumer, I I despise the man with every fiber of my being. I think he's a bad person.
Yeah,
Not
I
only
agree.
not only is he a bad politician and a terrible, I think he's a terrible human being. But they pretend to care because it gives them power. Um, just just like we care about the immigrants. No, you care about immigrants voting for Democrats because it gives you
Yep.
power. That's the whole point of the open border, is to create a whole bunch of new voters for Democrats and have the Democrats
Or if
take over.
nothing else, create a census level in blue states that
Yes,
gives them more
yes,
power.
right. That, along with that too. Then that's the more important aspect of that, actually. But Chuck Schumer is sitting there basically saying, we need to resist Donald Trump. What he's doing is against the Constitution. Well, it's actually in Article 1 of the Constitution, giving him permission to do this. And you cited the
DC Home Rule Act.
yes, thank you. You cited that, which gives, I mean, very explicit permission for the president to do this. But I'm sitting there going, and sometimes it flashes in my head. I'm so used to it, it becomes white noise to me, all this background about Trump and lefties just being insane. And I'm going, so he just admitted to the American people and the people in Washington, D.C., hey, you folks down there in D.C., not as politicians who have our security details, who we live in gated areas with big time security, big men carrying guns everywhere. Um, but I'm telling you folks that have to suffer the crime down there in the street level, that I don't give a fuck about you. I
Yep.
don't care about you working people, you American people that have to live day to day and walk the streets, go to your apartment, get off the train and walk 2 blocks to your apartment. I don't care. I don't care if you get murdered, robbed, raped, whatever. I don't care.
Carjacked.
Carjacked is huge. I don't care. I don't care, because I'm going to oppose anything Donald Trump tries to do. There shouldn't be a person in this country that isn't looking at this going, thank God. Thank God somebody's trying to fix something. And
Mhm.
like I've said, my little taunt on people, ooh, those pesky Republicans running around trying to fix shit. How dare they? And it's just, oh my God, I'm going, Schumer, don't you realize what you're doing? Midterm elections are going to be full of these videos for campaign ads. They're going to be full of
Oh
them.
yeah.
Chuck
Oh yeah.
Schumer, Chuck Schumer doesn't care if you get raped or murdered or carjacked. Boom. And play
Well,
that video. Play that video.
not only that, let's not forget that it was only a couple years ago that the DC chief of police put out guidance on how to avoid getting carjacked in DC. Drive in the middle lane. Make sure your doors are locked. Never drive alone. I mean, this is shit that you shouldn't have to go through as a citizen if you're anywhere that's got a modicum of safety.
If anything the government's supposed to do, me being a quasi libertarian, if anything the government's supposed to do, it's one thing:
Protect the people.
protect the people. That is it. Protect the people. And if that means that President Trump, no, would I be for President Trump federalizing Chicago? No, because that would be unconstitutional. That,
Well, the state of Illinois can do that.
the state of Illinois can do it. The governor of Illinois can call up the National Guard. Now, Title 10, and there's nuances there, but no, I don't think he's not going to be taking over every city, but he's doing, I think what he's doing is great, but it's also going, here's how you do it. When we see crime rates drop way down to nothing, not nothing, but way down by Christmas, and you're going to look at this, this reverse slope here. Maybe other cities will kind of get the idea. I mean, Gavin Newsom, he's showing pictures of him on vacation in like Belize with his kids, and I'm like, don't you have a state that's completely fucked up? Don't you have the second largest and the best economy city in the world that's in ashes? Don't you have all these problems? Okay, I'm not gonna make fun of you hanging out with your daughters and stuff like that. I hope you're a good parent. I'm glad your daughters love you. Okay, I'm glad you have a redeeming value. But it was just like the mayor Karen Bass being back in Ghana doing tribal dances when her city was burning down.
Did you see
They
Karen
don't fucking
Bass?
care. They don't care about you people.
Did you see her 2 days ago at a press conference? She was she was decrying ICE. She was going off. She was being emotional about what ICE was doing. And I'm like, I haven't seen you be this emotional about the folks in Southern California who can't get their fucking homes rebuilt.
Right. If you want to see kind of an interesting thing, Adam Carolla started a vlog about all that, where he's got that construction background that he did for
Yeah.
many years before he became famous, and he's touring the city, and he's got some pretty famous people going along with him, and people that are really smart. He interviewed the Army Corps of Engineers commander, Forward Colonel. He had him in the studio even, and it's fascinating to see that nothing is going on, nothing is happening,
Yep.
nothing's being rebuilt. I mean, they're tearing shit out, but nothing's being rebuilt because they haven't. She promised red tape. Both her and Gavin Newsom, they're going to do some things to get rid of red tape. Nothing's happened.
Yeah.
No permitting changes. Nothing.
I saw a picture of a group of homes that were along the coast of Malibu. Um, Still, I mean, we're how far from the fires? 8, 7 months, 5 months, something like that. Still completely barren. I mean, this was some of the most plush real estate in the world. One of the
Mhm.
things that gets me about California is it used to be a paradise. It
Yeah.
was a place that had everything. It had mountains, it had beaches, it had areas of temperate climate, it had fields, it had
Hmm.
farms. It used to have water with the reservoirs and stuff. And the blue rule of the last, whatever, 30 years has absolutely destroyed that state.
Why do you think I talk about it a lot? You don't talk about the philosophy behind it as much as I do because I obsess about it because I can't believe this many people are delusional, stupid, fucking retarded, or liars. Um, and I mean little r when I say that word, by the way. Just a little shout out to people out there who might be offended by that word. Um, the What do you think? What do you think? Why? How can somebody look at all these facts, look at all this history, look at all of what's right in front of them, and still be in denial and still I believe part of it's because evil is a real thing, and I think it's infected a lot of people since people have gone completely secular in this world. I feel it, I see it, I know what evil is, but a lot of it is just is there mass delusion going on? Is there?
I,
I don't get it. How can people look at this, look at somebody like Newsom, what's going on in California all these years, how it's a failed state, and go, yeah, but we want more of the same.
I think it's two things, and neither one's very flattering. The first is tribalism.
Hmm.
Once you get on a side, you're a Democrat or you're a Republican. You're going to defend your tribe and whatever they do. That's just the name of the game. And there's about 60-ish%, a little more than that, Democrats in California. I think it's 62%.
Right.
So they're going to defend that tribe and they're going to vote for their tribe. So any kind of uh, reform is going to have to come from within the tribe because they won't accept an outsider.
Right.
The second thing is because of that tribe, it's an it is sheer stupidity. It is a simple-mindedness because they don't understand the complexities of how to get this stuff works because it's not simple. Because you can't just say, I'm going to give everybody free housing. I'm going to give everybody free health care. All right, we're going to give everybody this great education. Well, that's awesome, but you're not telling us how. I was on with the Endless Ranters earlier, and we were talking about how the insurance companies have moved out of California. And the reason why the insurance companies moved out of California is, look, insurance companies, it's great when they can cover your home or whatever, but their job is not to cover your home, believe it or not. Their job is to make money. If
Hmm.
you make it impossible for them to make money by saying they have to charge certain rates, they have to cover certain things, and they have to cover it at this amount, and they can't raise prices at all, well, they can't make money. Regardless of whether you want them to or not, they cannot stay in the state because they will go. They literally go bankrupt. So that's
Hmm.
why a lot of these insurance companies leave. You can't just point a magic wand. And a lot of people in that tribe seem to think that the reason that the Republicans don't give them these things is because they're big meanies. Because if they were nice guys like the Democrats are, then they would give us this stuff. That's not how the real world works. They don't understand that. They're too simple-minded. They're like, well, they should just be able to say everybody gets health care. Okay, great. What do you do when doctors don't want to get in there, don't want to do, 8 years of schooling and residency and internship and all this other shit because they're not making any money? What do you do when there's no new drug patents out there to take care of stuff because you've taken away the incentive for drug companies to make them? Stuff like that. They are unable to get past. Well, they'd give us this stuff if they were nice. No, they
Right.
want you to have this stuff, but it's not simple. It's like you brought up earlier with Reagan and the tax cuts. You and I understand when you lower prices, you increase demand, and that actually brings in more money.
Hmm.
So when Reagan lowered taxes, it increased investment in certain things, and it doubled revenue into the federal treasury. But what a lot of Democrats see is we should just be able to raise taxes and get on all that money. They don't understand the nuances and the various subtleties behind this and how the various levers work. So that level of simple-minded stupidity, coupled with tribalism, is what's wrecking California. And California is going to have to completely collapse to get a reformer from within in order to. Let's put this in perspective. All right, New York is a shithole now, but in the 90s and the early 2000s, New York was a was actually a pretty good place. It
Hmm.
had been cleaned up.
Hmm.
But it took that complete collapse for them to elect Rudy Giuliani in 1993.
Right, right.
Yeah, up to then, it was Ed Koch, it was David Dinkins, it was a whole host of very crappy mayors and very crappy city administrators, and it took that collapse for them to get over the tribalism and say, well, shit, we got nothing else to lose. Let's elect a Republican. And they elected Rudy Giuliani, who, whatever you may think of what happened with him being on Team Trump in 2020 and some lawsuits and stuff, he cleaned up New York City, and Michael Bloomberg kept it cleaned up.
Absolutely.
But it took a complete collapse, and that's what I hate saying it, but that's what it's going to take in California for them to climb out of the hole. They're going to have to completely collapse, and they're just not there yet.
I guess I go back to my point is that I don't understand why you'd have to be to get there. This stuff is really logical. It's really logical and it's
I go
very
back to the
easy.
tribalism and the simple-mindedness.
Historical precedents, everything. Like you said, I was going to bring that earlier when we were talking about, Giuliani had the broken window policy,
Yep.
and it was very simple. If you're in a neighborhood and there's a lot of broken windows and stuff like that, you pay attention and you actually intervene legally when people do little acts of vandalism like that because you know those people and the people there are going to do much worse stuff. It's a what we call a leading indicator, right? It's exactly what it is, and it's a leading indicator of the conditions of the bigger and deeper root conditions and do all
And he supported the cops that were cleaning up. He made cop presence visible.
right.
Um, and that just goes against a lot of the grain of what they want to believe in California.
It's funny when you were talking about the insurance companies making money, and they are a business, folks. They're not a church
Not a
group.
charity.
They're not a charity. You've seen, of course, Fight Club.
I have.
I think one of the best, and I use that reference where he's sitting on the airplane and he's telling somebody about how you come up with the idea of how much you pay into insurance. And
Hmm.
you look at the big picture and like insurance company will say, okay, is it worth litigating this or would you pay this off at a certain rate? That's just the principle of Six Sigma, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you got to figure out where your break point is and where we pay premiums for insurance, auto insurance, life insurance, or whatever, because we're basically paying for the payouts of all the people who got payouts, right? If
Hmm.
somebody dies and they got their life insurance, you and I are paying for that in our premiums. And so those life insurance companies are very smart. They know exactly how much to charge us so that they're still going to make money and be able to pay out a certain amount each year to they have a formula that's going to tell them how many people are going to die this year that are insured by us. They have these intricate, I have a Lean Six Sigma black belt. I hate that word, but
I have a
certified.
green belt.
I was certified as a black belt in Lean Six Sigma, and I did that for a living for a little while.
I have a Lean Six Sigma green belt.
Yeah, so I know you do, and so you understand the whole principles, but that's really what it is you set your failure rate. You know what your failure place is going to be, and you set your stop there, and you figure out, okay, let's add 5%, and that's what we're going to charge, and to everybody who's living, and we're gonna make a profit. I mean, it's very, you can go through, you could do a chi-squared analysis, and you could do a whole bunch of different types of stuff, but um, that people don't realize that's the way the world works, folks. And you want to yell at these insurance companies for stuff. Of course, there's going to be pushback. Do people get screwed sometimes? I mean, is there horror stories about medical insurance companies not
Oh,
paying?
absolutely.
Absolutely. In any system, there's going to be a failure rate, but keep that in mind. I mean, what would I can tell you, I've been hospitalized so many times, Russ. I've had like 30 surgeries, 100 plus broken bones. I'm still looking at more surgeries here. Um, well, come to find out, they were going to schedule me for some procedures, but not the one that I had, but the on the hip and stuff like that. But my what do you call it? The referral from the VA runs out at
Mhm.
the end of the month, so none of my doctors will make an appointment with me until that gets renewed.
Oh, geez.
Because the VA, when you're on veterans preference, they only do it 6 months at a time. Think about that for a second for inefficiency. Why not at least a year? How much more
Yeah.
paperwork and how much more bullshit has to happen when you do it every 6 months? Twice the number, twice the amount of money goes into it, right? I mean, and that's the way I think. I think like Lean Six Sigma kind of all the time. After I took that and I got certified, it was awful. I was like timing stoplights and shit when I
Yeah.
drive to work, and it
I
was
was I was
terrible.
doing similar stuff with the green belt.
Yeah.
Now, going back to what you said though, this is why I both laughed and cried Back in, I believe it was 2010 when they, or maybe it was 2009 when they passed the Affordable Care Act, because it didn't make healthcare more affordable, it didn't make healthcare more widespread. It was a boon to the insurance companies. It basically guaranteed them customers
Right.
for all the crap that we're going through right now with how shitty a lot of the insurance coverage is. I thought the ACA was supposed to solve this.
It was supposed to solve it, but it didn't solve a fucking thing.
I mean, it's almost like when you say everybody should have health insurance, it doesn't magically make doctors appear and give people prescription drugs. It's kind of that's when I go back to the simple-mindedness of all of this. They gave, everybody likes to hate the insurance companies, and I get it, but the ACA gave them billions of dollars. It said you have to have insurance, and it has to be this kind of stuff. The insurance companies were gladly like, okay, great, I can make this much money. The only thing that the insurance companies did not get in there, and thankfully they didn't, because a lot of people this actually would have led to a revolt. Do you know that some of the first versions of the ACA were going to not only require you to go see a doctor, but you would be subject to potential criminal penalties if a doctor made a recommendation and you didn't follow it? I mean,
Yes.
like if the doctor told you to lose weight and you didn't lose weight, you could have been subject to getting ticketed, or even getting criminally prosecuted in some cases, because the insurance companies know that it's easier to collect premiums and not have to pay them out if you're healthy.
But the Trump administration is the fascist administration, bud.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's not a little bit of fascism in what you just said. Just a little bit, little hint, maybe. Just a little.
maybe just a
Maybe
little
just
bit.
a little. Government
Almost
action.
like almost like if they were going to use the Occupational Safe and Healthy Administration to make you get a vaccine.
Yeah. That's not an example of a small bit of fascism, is it?
Might be.
Requiring people to have medical procedures to maintain employment, or using an arbitrary rule about who non-essential and essential people were. Like Taco Bell was essential; those workers were essential, but engineers weren't necessarily essential. I just Jesus Christ. I excuse my blasphemy, but it's just the world. I don't know. I hope one of the things, we talk about the world is healing and the country's healing and stuff like that. One thing I want to say is a big, big, big caveat. And caveat means risk, warning. It doesn't mean an addition, by the way. Use that word right, fuckers. Okay? One of my pet peeves. So one big caveat is don't get cocky. Don't get
Oh yeah,
complacent.
and I think we need to remember that one of the issues. I think I brought this up before, maybe not on the podcast, but I brought it up to other people. Is look, I understand that one of the reasons most people don't care is because it's exhausting. Okay, to always try to weigh in on this stuff, to stay vigilant on this stuff, it can be just exhausting. But I promise you, the people who are fucking things up, they're indefatigable. Okay, they are relentless, and if you give them an open right now in the culture wars, to be fair, we're winning. We've got them on the ropes.
For the first time in decades, by the way.
Yeah, for the first time in decades, we're finally seeing a reversal. But that could go away real easy if we let up. This has got to be a a nonstop campaign, because if we stop, we're like, oh, we've won, it's over. It'll come roaring right back.
Take a lesson. Take a lesson from the progressives, and this is a lesson we actually can learn from the progressives. Progressives, the progressive movement is not about we want this thing and then we're going to be okay. It's
No.
like we're gonna devour, devour, devour. Not a lot of us gave a shit whether gay marriage was legal or not. I didn't really think about it very much. Um, back in, I know, a lot of our more conservative Christian friends are like, well, man and woman, I get it, or my conservative Jewish friends, but I never really thought about it one way or the other. I was like, all right, but look where we ended up with the trans cult and all this
Well,
stuff, and that was a slippery slope that kept sliding and sliding and sliding.
some people did warn against that, and they were laughed at.
Right. Well, and I thought people were a little over the top about that too. Like, I don't give a shit. I mean, two people in love. I mean, it's not my thing. And yes, what I prefer marriage is about, Dave Rubin, somebody that I admire and I listen to almost, at least 2 to 3 times a week, who I think is a likable, smart guy. He's gay. He's in a gay marriage, and they adopted two boys, or they had surrogates. I completely don't like the idea of two gay men having a surrogate child. I think that's fucking weird and raising those children.
I
I thought,
think I think children need a mother and a father because the mother and father bring different things to the
right,
upbringing of a child and
right.
to healthy child development.
Would I rather have a child in a healthy gay household rather than be, in the system and be living in foster homes? And so, yeah, I would. I would, given those two choices, Sophie's choice to a certain extent. But I thought it was weird. I think it's a little, I don't know. It's like, God, they want to, part of me goes, oh, they want to share their love with children, la, la, la. Part of me goes, that's kind of narcissistic in a way, too.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I don't think Dave Rubin is a narcissist by any chance. And I know,
No,
he's
but
got friends.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not putting any definitive spin on it, but I think it's a little odd, and I'm a little uncomfortable with the idea of a gay couple getting surrogate uh, two boys from a surrogate. I
No,
was
I
like,
go further than you because I believe that children need a mother and a father.
no,
If
I ideally,
it's
absolutely,
if it's
100%.
one of the things I go further in is I don't believe that, maybe I'm gonna take some heat for this. I don't believe single parent households should be able to adopt children unless those children are just stuck in the
Oh,
system.
I don't either. I don't either.
Um,
Not, I don't agree with that at all.
because yeah, because the outcomes for single parent households, whether you like it or not, the outcomes for single parent households are simply a whole lot worse than they are for two parent households.
Yeah, just sheer numbers, sheer numbers. Yeah, sheer
Whether it's
statistics.
economic hardship because the single parent's got to work more,
Right.
or you're missing out because mothers are good for some things, fathers are good for other things. You need both. Okay, you can't just one or the other is just not going to do it. You have to have both in order to raise a healthy, well-adjusted child
Hmm.
that's going to be a contributing member of society. Are there children that can be raised in that and do well? Absolutely, there are. But you're looking at where are the odds? Yes, some children will thrive in that. Most children will not. In
Right.
a two-parent household, most children of a two-parent household will thrive. Some will not, but most will. And so getting folks to understand that you got to play the odds. It's what it reminds me of, and I was actually thinking about this earlier. There's an interview online with Charles Barkley, and he talks about the difference in going to black high schools versus going to white high schools. He'll go to a white high school and be like, "So what do y'all want to be when you grow up?" And they're like, doctor, lawyer, engineer, whatever. You go to a black high school, what do you want to be when you grow up? Everybody's like, "I want to play in the NBA." And he's like, "Okay, that if you're good, that's awesome. I want to encourage your dreams. But what are the odds you're going to be one of the 400 best basketball players on the planet?
Right. Right.
And maybe you're that good. And if you are, pursue your dream. God bless you to do it. But you know what? You got to play the odds sometimes. That's the same way it is with, you know, adopting children with children in some of these households. What are the odds? Some can overcome it.
Yeah. No,
Most cannot.
I know people. I know friends who grew up in single parent households who are healthier than I am mentally. And my parents were married until they both passed, and married for 60 some years. There was a lot of I'll leave it at there was a lot of difficulties in that marriage forever. But they're old school, and the so I'm an example of yeah, it doesn't always work with the mom and dad either that are there all the time and that are stable as far as
True.
some things go. But it's not like I was a bum. I mean, I was valedictorian and magna cum laude and blah 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 blah. Had a nice little career in the army as an army officer. I did fine. I did well in my life for the most part until I shit the bed. But but the I agree with you, and that's not to say neither one of us feels like we're not disparaging those single parents out there that are busting their ass and all that. No, 100%. And I hope those kids have some type of female or male role model if they don't have a mom or a dad present that at least can be there for them. And I found a lot of male role models in my life, teachers and coaches and other people and veterans and stuff like that weren't necessarily my dad or my brother. Um, all that. But I lived in a small, very tight knit community,
Well, you
and
probably had, additional parental figures around if yours weren't in the area.
I had friends' parents who could have hit me, and they wouldn't have gotten in trouble by my parents for it. They had permission. Not that I needed to be hit, but they probably could have slapped me, and nobody would have said shit, and it wouldn't have seemed
When I
weird.
was growing up, you could get it if the person if your friend's parent couldn't actually discipline you, they could go to your parents who they knew would discipline you.
Oh yeah,
The community you knew in that community, don't mess around because whether your parents have given others permission to discipline or not, you are going to get in trouble one way or the other, either by your parents from being told or by the other person who had basically had implicit permission to help handle the situation.
yeah. Well, and you're seeing that lack of community, and I always talk about, I don't always, but I've mentioned the book Bowling Alone, which is a very fabulous book, sociology book about why our society's crumbled, and the gentleman talks a lot about civic groups that just don't exist anymore. When I was a kid, as a family, we'd go to the Lions Club, we'd go to the Eagles Club for potlucks. Fourth of July, big things. There was always something going on, an activity within the community. Some type of park picnic for something, 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 and you knew everybody. That's not the case anymore. You know your little circle, especially the Gen Z, of who's on your social media.
Yeah.
And they don't go out and just talk to people, or they don't go out like I was a kid. I was all ears. I wanted to learn everything, anything I could. World War II vets. I'd sit there and listen to those stories for hours and just devour it. Or farmers or people that had experienced things, listening to their stories. And then I had the smart teachers and stuff like that I could get that side. And my mom was really
I think half the
academic.
dads in my neighborhood were Vietnam vets.
Yeah, I mean it was an incredible, but there's none of that going on. There has never been a Gen Z kid that comes up to me and goes, "Tell me about your time in the army, sir." Yeah, I mean, that's never happened. I mean, I have been in situations like men's groups and other things where, people are like, "Oh, wow," and then they'll talk to me about because I've done a lot. I've had, as a friend of mine says, you've already lived 4 lifetimes, in your 55 years, and I just turned 55 a few days ago. So congratulations to
Leo's,
me.
baby.
I'm joining ARP this week, and I now qualify for all those housing units that are 55 and over. So I'm kind of excited.
Get yourself a silver fox. Get
Yeah,
yourself a
it's weird.
greyhound.
I'm still as immature as I was when I was 20, which is the funny thing.
Well,
I mean, I
what
got a Battlestar Galactica t-shirt on underneath this that tells you how mature I am.
what's the thing I saw online is Gen X are the only ones who were 30 when they were 10 years old, and by the time they're 50, they're still 30 years old.
Yeah, that's accurate. That's accurate. Most people I know my age, Gen Xers we all have kind of I don't know, childlike wonder for life still.
Oh yeah,
And what's funny, these Gen Z people are all like depressed and pissed off. And it's like
too
you
serious.
had all these advantages. I mean, I didn't have anything. I had a black and white TV that got 2.5 channels that I wasn't allowed to watch a lot of
Batteries
the
on
time.
it.
Yes. And I had a few toys, but I had my books. That was my thing. I had my books. And that was my escape. And then I had the woods and I had a dog.
Had books and Legos.
Yeah. Yeah, I walk out, take a left and head into the woods in 2 minutes, and I could disappear all day with my dog and sit by the creek or go fishing or whatever.
Hmm.
And I say crick, motherfuckers. I don't say creek. Um, so I think part of me sympathizes for this Gen Z because they're disconnected from things that are real. They really are. And when I see Gen Z people like question my manhood or act like they're badasses, or you see these Antifa like 5'8", 120-pound guys swinging on cops, I'm like, what gave you the idea? All you've ever seen is movies, apparently, because I would have fucking hung you by your jockstrap
What
back in
about
the
that
day.
millennial DOJ attorney that threw a sandwich at the cops?
In his little pink shorts,
Yeah.
and he's running like an eighth grade girl. That was hilarious. I know. Can you believe that? And what DOJ? And he throws a Subway sandwich. It was funny. I watched Gutfeld after that, and Tyrus was like, "You're not even going to pick up that sandwich and eat it? What is wrong with you? You just spent $22 for a sandwich, and that was your choice." He was going off on that, but anyway, yeah, no, it's pretty amazing. What time is it? I think it's about time for us to wrap it up. Yeah, it's
It's
about time for
after yeah, it's after my bedtime.
Yes, it is. It's like it's late your side. So anyway, I think with that, do you have any last words for our constituents?
No, it'll be interesting to see how things play out over the next few weeks with gerrymandering in DC
Yeah.
and just see how things go.
I think we should end from now on because a lot of the sports stuff that I listen to, they always like they have predictions at the end of the podcast or some point in the podcast. So I think, what's your prediction for the next? What's your prediction for the next week before we meet again?
Next week there will be a deal. I got two. There will be a deal offered. No, I got three. I'm sorry. All right, there will be a deal offered to Zelensky, who will reject it. The Texas Democrats will all return to Texas, and they'll have that special session for the gerrymander. And Congress, with Leader John Thune and Speaker Mike Johnson, will come together to start considering, they won't pass yet, but to start considering granting extension authority to Trump for the D.C. National Guard.
Now, you stole two of mine. Let me come up with one then.
Which two did I steal?
The last one and the first one.
Okay.
I wouldn't necessarily predict the Texas one, but that's probably true too. Let's see. Yeah, we got to rate these, whether we're going out on a limb or we're staying close to the trunk. You know what I
I'm
mean?
kind of staying close to the trunk, I think.
You're staying pretty close to the trunk.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that'll be too surprising if those happened.
Okay, so mine are gonna be limmy, not trunky. Let's see. I believe Pam Bondi will announce that they're doing a full investigation on Nancy Pelosi.
Okay.
That's a little limmy. It's going to happen soon, but I don't know when. This stock trading thing is just, if you look at the numbers, it's just crazy, folks. You gotta look at
She's
that.
insanely rich from this.
Yes, I mean, how much does a congressperson make these days?
I believe it's $192,000 a year. I could be
Yeah,
wrong.
but she's worth like something like $25 million or something like that.
Oh yeah, I think more.
So I think you're probably right, but it's yeah. That's how'd you do that? Because 195,000 living in DC and it's not that much, really. I mean, it's a lot compared to what I get for my pension.
San Francisco.
Yeah. I mean, it's so I think that's going to happen. I think that what was the one I had in my mind that was kind of limmy about Trump? What was it? I was going to say. I don't know. I'll just leave it at that because you had two of mine anyway. So I'll use the limmy one that I think Nancy Pelosi. I also think that Adam Schiff
yeah, go ahead.
I think he's eventually going to be the first guy in all this that's going to get indicted for the whole Russian.
I was about to say the exact same thing.
I don't think it'll be in the next week though, but I think he'll be.
No, it'll be a few months down the road.
But I think he's going to get indicted, and that would make my fucking day because you know how much I hate that slimy. Yeah. He's a horrible human being. He doesn't care about his constituents. He's a power guy. And you know, people can say, oh, Trump is a narcissist and stuff like that. Then why does he do so many things that matter for the people of the United States of America? Why does he love this country so much and obviously loves this country in its core principles? Because that's what he's doing. And he's doing it aggressively, yes, but I can't look at a single time where they violated the law or the Constitution. Not one. Not one. He's got strong, smart people working for him. Kash Patel, Pam Bondi. You know, he's got some. Pam Bondi is bright. She effed up the Epstein file thing. I get that, but everything else she's touched, I think, has been pretty brilliant.
Yeah, and when I was just want to touch on the Trump Constitution thing. Folks will try to counter that by saying, "Well, look, a lot of courts have ruled what Trump is doing is unconstitutional." Then you come back with, "Can you please name a single ruling that Trump has defied?" You know,
not one.
He does stuff. A court will rule on it one way or the other, and if they rule against him, he'll appeal it. He'll stay within the system. He is not open. He's been nicer than I would have been because some of these rulings I might have openly defied, and I can't name a single one he has defied.
I can't either. And you and I pay a lot of attention to this, and we both understand the Constitution and constitutional law. Without being constitutional lawyers, we understand it pretty well. I've studied the Constitution since junior high, so I think I know it fairly.
Yeah, same here.
And you know, I even kind of in my mind kind of go, okay, let me look this up and see what article of the Constitution. People don't realize how the Constitution is not a long document, folks.
No, it's 7 articles. What? 5 pages.
7 articles, 5 pages. It's I think 5 pages. I know it's 7 articles for sure. It's you can read it in a couple of hours and understand it easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
That was intentional.
It was very intentional. You know, here's your foundation. Now let's go build the house on the foundation. Okay. Yep. Well, and the foundation of stone underneath that, of course, is Judeo-Christian principles, from which the Constitution sprung. Hate to tell you that, folks. Judeo-Christian
Yeah,
principles.
the founding fathers, that's a lot of it that they brought in. A lot of people don't understand it, they don't like it. But the Judeo-Christian foundation of stuff, from free will and free thought to societal obligation to even limiting certain powers,
Hmm.
it's all Judeo-Christian. It's all biblical.
It is. It is every piece of that. Um, were there any atheists among the signers of the Declaration? What about that one dude? Can't remember his name. There was
No,
certain. I don't. Was he an atheist? I can't remember his name. There certainly was a lot of very conservative Christians, and of course, Pennsylvania, the Quakers of
well,
Pennsylvania, and
I believe it might have been every state of the Union when the Constitution was ratified. You had to be a Bible believer to get elected to office. It was in the law.
what's it in the law? I figured it was just part of
No, it was in every
the
state.
zeitgeist of that
The
that
whole
time.
separation of church and state thing, where they want to get you free from religion, that's only been within the last, what, 70, 80 years?
Yeah, yeah, I would. That's a good estimate. Sure.
I mean, you actually had to be a believer in order to hold office in every state in the union when the country was founded.
Yep. Hmm. Yeah, I did not know that. But and they none of them were Catholics, probably. No Catholic.
Well, Maryland, they had Catholics, but it was founded as a Catholic colony.
Right. You're right. You're right. Now that I think about that.
And
Right.
I
Hence
don't know if that was the only one.
hence like William and Mary and the Maryland uniforms and stuff like that. Yeah, the
Yeah. I think there might have been one more, but I don't know what that was off the top of my head.
huh.
I don't know if it's Catholic or it was another religion.
That's interesting. I'll take a look at that. I'll dive into that because that interests me. Because you know me, I'm kind of a mutt. I'm kind of a
Yeah.
Catholic Protestant mutt, somewhere in between. Most of my studies, my academic studies, have been in the Catholic realm, except for recently. Liberty University is definitely not a Catholic university. Good stuff though. I really enjoy the material there. Anyway, another random goddamn. We used to. I got to tell you guys back in the early days, in the podcast, we'd send back like these. I'd send a Word document with the agenda, and then Russ would change it or give me feedback, and we try to follow this like agenda thing. Remember those days?
Yes, that was a while ago. That was a long time ago.
That wasn't as much fun, really.
Wasn't as free flowing.
No, it wasn't.
I
No,
still
it was fine. We can get into a little bit more organization.
I still have, let me make sure I still have it. Um, I still have, I believe, a list on my phone um, about topics that I thought we would eventually want to address.
That's funny. How old is that? Are those topics?
Well, that's 4
expired?
years. That's 4 years old.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. I know, and there's so many things I still want to get into too. I was always like, oh, we need to talk about libertarianism versus not. It's like, we used to try to do those little things. I don't know. We can get back into
Philosophical
that.
stuff. We can still do it at some point, but
My
yeah,
health
I
has
had a
been
whole
so
bunch of stuff like
shit.
that.
I know my health has been so shit that I haven't put a lot of time and effort into it, to be honest with you. But I still obviously enjoy it and I pay attention. But I watch way much. Like I said, I've got news going on almost 24/7 on one of my monitors, so I can kind of pay attention to stuff. But
A
anyway,
reminder that I will not be here next week as I'm
okay.
moving oldest back into college.
Yep. I'll see if one of our bad boys wants to fill in. If not, we won't have a podcast.
Okay.
We'll just we'll do something. But yeah, let's give our effort to doing something with the barracks soon.
Yeah.
Doing there's a couple of guys who I've talked to who would love to come on and chat about their experiences and stuff like that, or
There's a
different.
couple of guys I'd like to bring back on. I'd like to bring Uncle Jimbo back.
Yeah.
Like to bring Mach 1 back. I'd like to
I've tried to get Mach 1 a couple of times and he hasn't really responded to that. So
yeah, I'd like to go back and get Schmick back at some point.
Absolutely. There's a couple other guys too. I interviewed a couple of dudes for Memorial Day, not this last year, but the year before, that were pretty interesting dudes. And
There was a guy on our Facebook page that started getting into it. I left it alone when I saw he was addressing you because I wasn't
he's just
how
fucking around.
serious or bitchy he was being. So I was like, since the written word doesn't convey that, I'm like, I'm gonna not get involved and let Coop do this. So I saw the dynamic after that. But when he first responded, I'm like, who is this asshole?
No, he's cool. He's a Navy diver. He's a badass. He's a cool guy. I think
Have a matching handbag and earrings.
No, he's just fucking around with that stuff. He's a good dude.
I'm just Because the Navy guy, that's why I have to give him shit.
Yeah, I know him from a couple of things. Good dude, really solid dude.
Cool.
And want to talk to him about his kid. He and this kid came on the podcast on Memorial Weekend that one year, and his kid was in the Army, but I think there's something going on with him. So I'd like to see what's up with that. His kid was a really cool guy, really nice kid. So see what's up. Jesus, would you quit going up and down the stairs? You're scaring the shit out of me, Lucy. God, hi, baby. It's okay. I'm not mad at you. She comes over and puts her head on my lap. Am I in trouble, Daddy? No. All right. Well, we're going to sign off. I got Gutfeld and the Seahawks preseason game to watch tonight. So
I got a bed to go get into.
What's that?
I have a bed to go get into.
Yes, you do. All right. Well, that'll do it for us. Thanks, Russ, for your time. And for those of you out there, remember, we're all over the place. I will be putting this one on YouTube because I think this will pass the algorithm. We didn't talk about anything too terrible. I don't think I used the C word. I don't think I did.
We only had a couple instances of the F word.
Yeah, only a couple. That's like 90% better than I normally do. So, all right, folks, thanks for listening. Two Grumpy Bastards podcast Facebook group. You can find us over there. Two Grumpy Bastards merchandise. We got some cool shit over there. You can support us by rating us and give us a woohoo rating everywhere that they rate podcasts. That helps us. And join us on YouTube. Please go over there and give us a like and give us a subscribe. That would help a lot. So this is Big Coop from the Pacific Northwest. That's Russ over there from the wilds of Tennessee. And remember to keep your focus in.
Stay wokeless.
Woohoo. Well, hey, everybody. This is Coop, the handsome and debonair one of the Two Grumpy Bastards podcast. Not to mention I'm the only one that's an actual bastard. Google that shit. Don't, actually. Hey, I'm here to do a shameless plug for our merchandise. You can find us at twogrumpybastardsmerchandise.com. We got a whole bunch of new merchandise in. I think you'll like some of the new choices. There's some pro-Second Amendment. There's some anti-Washington State Governor stuff on there. I think you'll really appreciate it. New stuff coming all the time. I have 2 great designs in the works, so please, to support this podcast, that's one of the easiest ways to do it. We're also on Etsy. Yeah, I know, Etsy. You can find our products on eBay as well. Storm King Mercantile is the name of the store there that fronts us. And there's many, many other ways to support this podcast, of course. We have a Patreon page, same thing, Two Grumpy Bastards. We certainly would appreciate you following us on Instagram. Most of you probably know we have a Facebook page, Two Grumpy Bastards Podcast. We have a lot of fun over there, a lot of frivolity, a lot of memes, and a lot of hard-hitting news. Believe it or not, a lot of great people in that group. Also, all of the social media outlets, including now on TikTok. You can find us there. And one of the things that I really wanted to tell you is if you have any feedback for Russ, especially because he kind of sucks, feel free to email us at twogrumpybastards@gmail.com. That's the easiest way to get a hold of us, or you can always leave us a comment or an IM on, or DM, I should say. See, I'm so savvy. I'm so savvy. On our Facebook page. So we really appreciate you listening or watching us over there on YouTube as well. And we hope you do both, because Russ is something to look at. I said something. I didn't say something really great to look at. Anyway, thanks for listening. This is your intrepid, amazing, and grateful host of the Two Grumpy Bastards podcast, Coop. Remember, keep your focus and stay wokeless.